Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to all student East West and UITM. Subject is on fundamental of management. Today topic 4, organizing. Okay, this is the learning outcome, definition, organizing process, division, types, span, and so on. We go to detail. What is organizing? Organizing is the second key management function after planning. So we have learned earlier the PLOC, planning, organization. Yeah. So this is the number 2 lah, the planning, organization. So planning, which coordinates human efforts, arranges resources, and incorporates the two in such a way which help the achievement of the objective or the goals of the company lah. It involves deciding the ways and means and which the plans can be implemented. Very simple lah. You want to go for a picnic with your friends, what you need to do? Organize yourself kan? So same thing lah. There's a simple meaning of organization. Organizing. Yeah? So it entails defining jobs and working relationships. So all the detail lah. Let's say you want to go for a picnic. You need to prepare for your foods, for your gear, for all the in case you want to picnic on the seaside, all the things you need lah. So you need to organize it. Same thing like in a company. So we have to organize all the things that you need to be implement to achieve the objective or the goals of the company. Also design a structure which distinguishes duties in order to maintain smoothness and effectiveness in operation. So every person, we will design the job scope lah, what they have to do, so that they will be part and parcel of the organizing to achieve the goals, which need to run it smoothly and effectively. Otherwise, the goals cannot be achieved. So characteristic, okay, they have this following characteristic. So organizing is number 1 is divisional level lah. That means every person will be divided what kind of job scope they have to do. For example, in this college, so we also have the organizing. We have the lecturers, we have the academic staff, we have the admin staff, we have the supporting staff. So each person have to do their own work. So we call it division of labor, division of jobs that each of them have to do. And then we coordinate lah. So the lecturers, the academic staff, the administration staff, the supporting staff need to coordinate together so that we can deliver the class and teach the student. The objective in our case, like in a college, is teaching the student, because our business is teaching and learning. Yeah. Then the authority, responsibility, structure, communication. So once we have the objective, we have to divide each person authority, and responsibility, so that they cannot blame others if they fail to implement the job scope or the labor we have assigned to them. Then the last part is communication. So communicate, then if we can be communicate and effectively understood by all the person involved in this organizing, then the objective can be achieved. Yeah. You take for example, just now you want to go picnic. If one of you miss one of the job, let's say you're supposed to bring a gear for scuba diving. So this guy forgot to bring the gear for the scuba diving. So in the end, you go to picnic. Can you go for scuba diving? You can't. That means your objective going picnic fail or not? It's fail lah, because you want to go for scuba diving in the picnic, but now you don't have gear to go scuba diving. So same thing in the operation of the company. Okay, I explained to you just now the division of labor, coordinating, objective, authority, communication, all I already explained. It's just a note on there. Okay, so division of labor, I already explained to you the separation of work process in number of tasks. Each task with each task performed by a separate person or group. It is most often applied to system of mass production as in one of basic organizing principle of assembly line. I give you some simple example just now if you want to do a picnic, but here we're talking about organizing. Normally we're talking about big operation. Let's say operation of production of motor cars. You just can imagine, yeah, the division of labor. Each person or each section or if each department have to perform their task so that they can achieve the objective in the end to produce the complete car that the factory need to produce. The consequent reduction in production time, ability to replace craftsmen and lower paid unskilled workers result in lower production costs and less expensive final product. So if you organize it efficiently, so most likely, yeah, you can uh, lesser or lower the production cost. Otherwise, the product can be expensive, the final product, and nobody will buy a product because another car manufacturer produce the same car at a lower price of you because they are better organized, they have better efficiency, so you can't compete with them. So this is the problem happening if you don't organize your operation effectively. Contrary to popular belief, however, division of labor does not necessarily lead to decrease in skill, known to be proletarization among the working population. Well, some believe they said it does not decrease the cost, but it depends on the each situation, uh, each factory or each kind of operation. So may be true, but again, everything is depend on what kind of thing that you're talking. You have to compare here apple to apple. If you compare apple with oranges, yes, maybe they said the division level does not say lead to decrease. So depend. But we're talking about in general lah. But always there are exceptional to the general rule. So you have to see both sides of the story. Okay, the process organizing is a core function which binds all activities and resources together in systematic and logical sequence. As I said just now, if you go to a picnic, this is a good example how you organize the thing. So it encompasses a number of steps which are pursued to achieve the goals, the organization's goal. So when you start organizing, there should be steps to be taken from A to Z lah. You cannot jump from one to another. There should be step 1, step 2, step 3. Even you walk, you need to walk the step one by one. So same thing. Yeah, explaining to you now. Okay, this is the process of organizing. First, you identify the division of work. Then you departmentalize it. Let's say we take for example now in the car manufacturing lah. Yeah. So they identify division of work. Certain party, certain working to produce the body of the car. Certain people produce the engine of the car. Certain people producing the painting of the car. So you identify the division of work, and then you departmentalize it. So each type of work, each department, and then you assign the task. That means you assign the people to do the work. Then establishment of organizational hierarchy. So in the task in the work, maybe there are 30 people need to produce the body of the car. So they should be the manager, they should be the supervisor, they should be the foreman, they should be technician, and then the last also down the line will be the general workers. So you have to set the hierarchy so that people know their job and they report to the next people for whatever problem they have. From the general worker, they have to maybe report to the supervisor first. They cannot just go to the manager and talk about their problem. So we call it organizational hierarchy. Then provision of resources to members. Yes, you need to produce a body car, so you need to allocate the resources, the material that you need to produce the body car to each workers or each members of the working group. So coordination of efforts and scheduling of activities. So even scheduling of activities, coordination. Let's say you're producing the car, so you don't need the tire now. So you cannot be sending the car tire to the assembly line yet, because they're not ready for the fixing up the tire, for example, or fixing up the wiper of the car. So this need a coordination. When the thing need to be arrived, when the thing not ready to be used. So all this we need the coordination. If not, you have all the material on the side and they'll be clumsy. Then the workspace is not to be efficient, need to be done. Yeah. So these are some parts of the process of the organizing. So we already talked just now. I already explained division of work, departmentalization, assignment of tasks to each of the workers. Yeah, all explained already. Then the hierarchy, resources, coordinating effort, all I have already generally explained, but there's in detailed writing there that you can read and understand. Types of organization structure. The organization structure depends how job and tasks are formally divided, grouped and coordinated. We did explain just now early on. The type of organization structure would depend upon the type of organization itself and its philosophy and operation. Different company, different organization, they have different philosophy and different type of operation. It's all depend. There's no one fit rule that each organization will follow the same one. So depend on what you produce, depend what is your philosophy. All these thing need to be the company should need to come up with the structure. Basically, the structure can be mechanistic or organic in nature of combination of both. Yeah, it can be using machine, everything to do the job. Some using human being. So sometimes it's a combination of both lah. So all this is part and parcel of the organizing of the production. However, most organization structures are still designed along mechanistic or classical line. Well, sometimes every production is so used to be in that kind of process, so they keep on using it. But some organization they modernize. They use robot now. Let's say, for example, in the production of car, you see less people working in the assembly line because they're using mechanistic. They use robotic. They use all other kind of things that they can replace the human being and can make it more efficient and precise in their jobs scope. So key element, work specialization. So in organization structure, you can see what number one you can see just now, work specialization. To degree articles subdivided into separate job. That means not one person do all kind of mix up job. So one person will do specific job. So in proper organization, we can see this work specialization. Departmentalization. Then after they specialize, then they departmentalize it, section by section. On what basis job will be grouped. And then you can see the chain command. To whom individuals group report. There is the hierarchy we mentioned earlier on. Hierarchy. Hierarchy means from bottom up or top bottom, the reporting or the instruction will go. Yeah? Span of control, how many individuals can a manager effectively, efficiently direct. So one head, one manager, maybe one supervisor, you control 10 people. Another supervisor control another 10 people. That's what they trying to say here. How many head can control people down the line? So we call it the span of control. Cannot be one person controlling 100 workers. It's very difficult to become efficiently. Centralization versus decentralization. Who will be the sole maker of decision? Okay. Some job you can centralize. Some job you cannot. You have to decentralize. And then who are the one to decide which and when? This all need to be discussed in the organization structure. Formalization, to what degree will there be rules and regulation to direct employees and manager? This one formalization, we call it some sort like rules and regulation. Yeah. I mentioned here, to what degree all there be rules and regulation to direct employers and manager, so that everybody knows what to be done, not to be done according to the standard rules and regulation. So there are formalized kind of structure inside the organization. Okay, some of the most common structure are line organization. Okay, line organization is a simple form of organization that is most common among small companies. It clearly identifies authority, responsibility, and accountability by each level. We see the production of car, maybe production of bakery, so you can see line production from one section to another section. In the end, you have a bread that you produce from flour for the first uh, material they started. In the end, you can come up with the bread. Or in the line production of car, you can see in the big factory, car factory, how the production are produced in line organization. Functional organization, the functional organization concept originated from Frederick Taylor, that permits specialists in a given area to enforce its directive within a clearly defined scope of authority. Here we're talking more like product with a specialized product lah. So big factory, you use line organization. Specific, sometime product, we need some, like call it functional organization. Those specialization of product they want to produce, you cannot use the formal line production. So that's what they explaining here. We have the president, we have the vice president, then we have the function manager down there. It's different from the line production. From only one president, then number two is the deputy, number three manager, number three, four the supervisor, and then the sub supervisor, and then the workers. So that kind of organization we call it line organization. Whereas specialized, we need some sort like functional organization need given special area. For example, vice president is the one CEO lah, the top one. Then we have the vice president, they specialize on engineering. Then the vice president, they in charge of the finance and HR, human resources. Then the vice president, we have the specialized on sale and marketing. This we call it functional organization. Then they have the down them, they have the managers and the supervisors and everything down there. Span of management refers to the number of subordinates who can manage eventually by superior. So, how big is your control? The one person, how much or how much people will they control, and how much area that we call it span of management. Simply, the manager having the group of subordinates who report to him lah, directly to call at the span management. For example, in car manufacturing, we have one department engineering, the head of manager engineering, then they have maybe 30 technician down there preparing for the engine of the car. So this chief engineer control this 30 people to produce the engine car only. Okay, so the management, his management spend only to the 30 people only. So they call it span of management. Span of management has two implications. Influence the complexity of individual manager job. For example, just now the engineering, so they just in charge of the engineering, producing the car engine only. Determine the shape of or configuration of the organization. Depend. So if like car, so we can see span of management. Some leader may spend a management on 30 people. Some maybe on 50. Some maybe on 10. So depend on the production or the product they need to produce and the number of workers under them. Yeah, so it's different shape, different configuration. One head can control span of 30, but some maybe 20, some maybe 10, depends. So it's not standardized. The span of management is related to the horizontal level of organization structure. So span of management, we're talking about just now the structure, the president, the vice president, and then down there we can see the manager. So the manager, how many manager they have down there? So all this level, only one level of management, which we call here the span is the horizontal span of the organization. Only one level only. Okay, wide span, flat structure, tall structure. So it depend. Yeah, depend on the organization. For example, we're talking about one line of manager, then you can see that white span is under flat structure. Narrow structure we can have from top to bottom. Okay. Authority. Authority, the exercise of legitimate influence by one social actor over another. So authority mean like very simple. Like if a manager, he has the authority to all the people down the line. So he has the power, legitimate power. Whatever he said, the rest have to follow. So we call it, he has the authority. There are many ways in which an individual or entity can influence another by to behave differently, and not that all of them have equal claim to authority. Well, that's just an explaining of the what is authority is all about. So a classical hypothetical example serve to differentiate the term authority from other forms of influence. This one we can say that some authority only to certain area or certain section, but some they have the authority overall. So it's different authority. The CEO have the authority over the whole organization, but the manager only has the authority on his section only, on his department only. So this is what it's all about. One person wielding a club forces another person to hand over money and the possession. So talking about authority, if you got people put a knife in your bag to give you the money, so at that particular time, that person have the authority to force you to give the money. That's what they're trying to say. This act might be considered coercive. Okay, in that case, it's like paksa lah, they force you. The exercise of brute power, which in many instances will be criminal. So in organization, you cannot use this kind of system. If you enforce the kind of force to your workers or to your subordinate, it can become criminal, and then it can become prosecute in the court lah, because you do it by coercive means, not through the proper management function and how the management should implement the implementation the authority. Delegation, okay. Delegation is an administrative process of getting things done by others by giving them responsibility. Okay, I give a very simple example. If I now or you now want to buy some material for the product you need to produce, and you ask somebody to buy it for you, you're supposed to go to the market and buy it for you. But now you ask somebody to go and buy it for you. So that one we call it delegation. You delegate somebody to the process, so for you don't have to do the work. Because one person, a manager, cannot do everything because you don't have the time. So you need delegate somebody to do some part of the job which that they can be done without you doing it yourself. So that what we call it delegation. It's an administrative process lah. You delegate somebody to buy the goods. You delegate somebody to sell the goods. You're supposed to sell the good, but you get somebody to sell it. So we call it delegation. You delegate. So that's what mean of delegation in these circumstances lah. All important decisions are taken at top level by board directors. The execution is entrusted to the chief executive. Well, here delegation mean in a company, first they have the board member of the company. So the board member of the company will do the meeting to discuss the policy, all the implementation of the policy of the organization. Then they get entrusted to the manager, or here we call it chief executive officer. Example, in this college, I am the chief executive officer. So we have the board member. We have the meeting of the board member, including the chief executive. What I need to be done in this college? How you want to produce good student? How you want to get more student? All this you discuss at the board level. Once the board level discuss and the action need to be taken, and then you entrust it to the chief executive officer to implement it. So again, the board delegate the job to implement to the chief executive officer. Chief executive assign the work to departmental, and then I, like chief executive, assign the work to the head of academic department. How for them to do and teach the student, for example. I delegate to the account department how for them to look for finance, to pay for the workers, for pay for the salary, to pay everything. So I again delegate another level down there. Every superior delegate the authority to subordinate for getting a particular work done. So what is the purpose of delegation? So that a CEO, he cannot do everything. So need to delegate to the next level to get the thing done. The CEO supposed to do the teaching, let's say. But he cannot do the teaching because he got other thing to do. So he delegate to the teaching to the academic department. So this is what meaning of delegation. Get your job done, but through another party. Summary, okay. So student, today we are already talking about the definition of organizing and the process, division of work, or we call it division of labor, types of structure. We already talked just now, linear structure or functional structure. Span of management, how big one person control another group, or how one person control to how big is the area they control. They call it span, how big they are, the area they control. For example, as I said just now, in the Department of Engineering of a car manufacturing. So the manager, engineering manager only span of management through the engineering department only. That's what we talking about span. Yeah? Then the authority. What are the authority? Who have the authority? The last one, delegation. Delegation mean you need to implement the work, but you can't do the work, so you get somebody else to do the work. So the somebody else doing your work is what the delegation process is all about. Okay, so thank you very much. Have a nice day. We discuss further with the lecturer in the class. Those is not very clear or don't you understand, and it's quite not a very difficult subject, but you need to understand the underlying all the terminology we already teach down there, so that you can have a good grasp on this subject of organizing in the company. Yeah, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.